Welcome. Hi, my name is Josh Felperin. I'm the sales director here at Alps Controls. And on behalf of all of us here at Alps Controls, thank you very much for taking your time to be with us here to learn about the Smart Air Valve today. Just everyone's getting in the holiday spirit, and we figured why not talk about the Smart Air Valve to get us through the holidays. So we are going to cover various different things. Our presenter today is Bob Debski. Bob Debski's been in the industry for well over 30 years. He's the National Business Development Manager here. And Bob's going to share with you what the Smart Air Valve can do for your business. We're always keeping our eyes open for products, innovative products in the industry that can help you bring in more revenue, save you time, save you money on your projects, to put you in a better position to even win more projects. So during the presentation, if you look on the right side of your screen, there's a Q&A chat box. If you have any questions that come to mind while Bob's presenting, please feel free to type in your question right away, and we'll get to that at the end of the presentation. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Bob Debski, bring him on camera, and take it away, Bob.
Thank you, Josh. I really appreciate that introduction. More importantly, I thank all of you for participating in this webinar today. We have record participation today, which is an indicator of your interest and some of the noise that this particular product has already made in the first year. So our goal is to answer some of those questions. Keep in mind, we're trying to keep this presentation to about a half an hour. We know we cannot do a deep dive. This is going to be a very shallow dive where we're going to go into some of the details of the value proposition and what the Smart Air Valve is. We have plenty of presentations, whether they're technical presentations or more in-depth sales presentations. So if you want more instruction on this product, please reach out to me or reach out to anyone on our regional sales staff for assistance. The goal of this presentation is to talk about what is the Smart Air Valve, and more importantly, what it can do to help you increase your sales margins and order intake. So the best way, since we're talking about introductions, is to introduce you to our partner with the Smart Air Valve. HVAC manufacturing is not new to our e-commerce platform. HVAC manufacturing has been a partner of ours for several years. They are a manufacturer of many things, including bipolar ionization products that we have represented. So long working relationship with HVAC manufacturing. What you may not recognize is that HVAC manufacturing has been behind many air terminals that have been sold through some of the largest control manufacturers in the world. So no new player to this business, and was established in 2007. Have built literally hundreds of thousands of air terminals. So once again, maybe not the most recognized name, but has been around in the industry for some time. HVAC manufacturing is based here in the US, in Texas. All engineering, development, testing, manufacturing, and support is all local in Athens. Another thing to understand is that HVAC manufacturing is also a woman-owned business. So when you run into those projects that require some level of disadvantaged business enterprise participation, this is a great candidate to help you meet those goals. So what is a Smart Air Valve? Well, a Smart Air Valve, in summary, is a flat blade air valve that changes the way that HVAC systems, VAV systems, will be engineered, installed, utilized, and in our particular case, sold. It is truly a disruptive product. It's one of those products that will change the way that VAV systems will be sold. What makes it different? What is so special about this product? Well, the Smart Air Valve has a level of accuracy of airflow measurement that's unprecedented. And it's not the accuracy, but it's the accuracy over a broad range of airflows that makes it truly unique and disruptive. It's so innovative that in the upcoming ASHRAE show in Chicago, it's already been nominated as an Innovation Award winner. So to bring some credibility to this presentation, this truly is a recognized disruptor of technology. And I encourage everybody who's going to be going to the ASHRAE show to meet us out there and meet the folks at HVAC Manufacturing so you can get an on-hands look at this particular product. So why do we need a new air valve? Well, most of us who've been in the industry will recognize VAV boxes and air valves have been around for almost 50 years. What's amazing is that we've tolerated a long list of problems with VAV boxes for 50 years. And we've really not done anything to change that. There have been small changes, there have been small innovations, but nothing truly innovative. So what's interesting here is this is an opportunity to change this, to address these issues and provide a better product. So even ASHRAE recognized that there's a problem with VAV boxes. About 10 years ago, ASHRAE sponsored a research project, 1353, that looked at some of these problems and tried to determine what was causing this. If you look at this curve to the right of your screen, you'll see on the horizontal axis, you'll see duct velocity. And on the vertical axis, you'll see the error in flow measurement of the VAV sensor. If you look closely at below about 1,500 feet per minute, you start to lose accuracy of the traditional airflow measurement. And by 500 feet per minute, below 500, you've lost almost complete accuracy, and it becomes very inaccurate. And this has been determined to be a cause of some of those, or not some, most of those problems that we showed earlier, including things like hunting in control or poor control, premature wear out of damper actuators. These are all things that can be attributed to the inaccurate sensing of airflow in air valves. Compromised workarounds. So if one of the problems with a conventional air terminal is poor airflow measurement at low velocities, what's one of the easiest solutions? Increase the velocity. Well, typically, the airflow velocity has been increased by constricting the airflow. And what happens when you constrict the airflow? When you constrict the airflow, you create resistance. When you create resistance, you create pressure drop. And when you increase pressure drop, you also increase fan horsepower. So even though that was a solution to get more accurate airflow, it has a whole host of other compromises. You also have the additional problem of increased noise generation caused by those higher velocities in the duct. So let's introduce the smart air valve, which provides unprecedented airflow accuracy. So here's that same graph we looked at previously from the research project from ASHRAE. Same curve in blue, but overlaid on that curve is the performance of the smart air valve. And what you'll see is that the accuracy of the smart air valve actually increases as the airflow decreases. Totally opposite of the current technologies that exist there. And this is what's going to have such a big impact on the marketplace. So how does the smart air valve do it? Well, first of all, it does it not by increasing the airflow, the air velocity through the sensor. It doesn't do it with any type of new geometry. It doesn't do it by any new type of exotic airflow sensor. It does it with all the same components you're familiar with: pitot tubes, flat blade dampers, and high accuracy differential pressure sensors. It looks very similar to what you've accustomed to. The one thing you might notice is that the low pressure port, or I'm sorry, not the low pressure port, but if you look at the static pressure port, it's been moved to behind the damper. And that's going to prove to be one of the most critical changes in the design that you're accustomed to. But what's important is that one simple change solves a problem that's plagued the air terminals for a long time, and that's the fluid dynamics problem. And that's exactly what the smart air valve does. It uses the damper position, which creates variable orifice plates, and gives us an opportunity to understand the fluid dynamics and solve the math behind what's taking place. The only way this can be accomplished is building intelligence into the smart air valve. And this has a major impact on the opportunity for you, because in order to pull off this level of mathematics, the DDC controller must be installed. And that patented technology resides within the VAV controller. So in order to achieve this level of control, it's required that controllers must be pre-tested to make sure they have the capability to perform this level of accuracy. That requires not just a fast-acting damper actuator, it requires a high turn-down, high-accuracy differential pressure sensor. It requires a high-accuracy damper position sensor. So not any controller is going to cut the mustard. What you see in front of you is just a short list of, not a short list, but a list of the approved manufacturers to date who've been through the testing, have been shown that these controllers are capable of achieving that level of precision. If you look at the slide, you'll see there's a handful: the Schneider, Honeywell, which is actually a Honeywell Niagara controller, and Loitech are all options that are currently available through distribution from alpscontrols.com. The other manufacturers you see there that aren't highlighted with the blue rectangle, those are all products that are going through distribution through other channels. So what does all this mean? Well, problem solved. All of those issues that we discussed previously, all of the issues, control issues, energy issues, sound issues, coordination issues, they've all been solved by the smart air valve. And guess what? And more. So I'm starting to sound a little bit like a spokesperson for the flex sealer. The bottom line is this: it works. Just like flex sealer, flex tape works in many applications. Guess what? The smart air valve is making a major change, and we're going to start to talk about some of those changes right now. We talked about this earlier. We talked about the energy efficiency issue. If you reduce the air velocity, you reduce the pressure drop, and that reduces fan horsepower. Pretty simple physics that take place in the HVAC industry. But one of the things that high level of accuracy does, it resolves many of those control issues that we've experienced, especially at low flows. And as most of you know, based upon the ASHRAE ventilation rate procedure that resets the minimum airflows based on occupancy, it's critically important to have high accuracy airflow measurement at those low velocities. That problem is solved by the smart air valve. One size fits all, asterisk. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But because of that level of accuracy over a wide range of airflows, the smart air valve has a turn down of 100 to 1. If you look at the next closest product that we deal with in the industry, a Venturi air valve, has a turn down of 20 to 1. A traditional VAV box is 4 to 1. So this is a 5-time improvement over its closest competitor in the marketplace. So what does that mean? What does that mean in the real world? If you look at that graph on the bottom right, it means that one 16-inch smart air valve can replace 10 sizes of conventional air valves. It has the same airflow from a maximum of 3,500 down all the way down to 10. It replaces them all. So what does that mean to you? That means that you have significant efficiency in design. You specify one box that can cover all 10 sizes. Now, keep in mind, we understand that there are certain construction challenges, whether that's beams that are in the way, duct work, conduits that can require a smaller duct. Guess what? You can still get the smart air valve in smaller sizes to accommodate those construction restrictions. Low sound generation. We talked about this. We reduced the airflow velocity, we reduced the noise. And because of the reduction in airflow velocity, comparing that to a conventional VAV box, in the lower octave bands of sound generation, you can see a 20 dB decrease with the smart air valve. A 20 dB decrease is equivalent to 100 times less sound generation. So what does that mean? It means you get to eliminate the internal acoustic insulation as well as any sound attenuators. Get rid of any internal insulation. You eliminate that potential issue of fibers being transmitted into the space. And when you eliminate the sound attenuators, you would not only eliminate cost, you also simplify the design significantly. Self-balancing. All of the folks on this call who've been involved in a project, in the commissioning project, what's one of the last things that ever gets done? Commissioning. If you look at this individual in the lower right-hand corner with the balancing hood, I don't know, it looks like a clean room to me. That's not a construction site I've ever been on, but they're making it look like it's rocket science and precision. Well, that doesn't make sense because that K factor that he's adjusting is basically a fudge factor to make sure that whatever reading the air balancer is seeing on the hood side is recorded on the flow sensor side of the DDC controller. The smart air valve does not require a fudge factor. The airflow measurement is so accuracy, it can actually measure its own leakage. So at that point in time, there is no balancing required. There's no changing and rechanging the K factor. It accurately measures airflow immediately out of the box. So what happens? It eliminates that balancing, that time in commissioning, additional energy saving or additional cost savings can be achieved. So one of the things that has plagued VAV boxes is doing tenant retrofits, especially in commercial office buildings. So if you wanted to convert an office into a conference room, that meant not only did you have to do the demolition of the space, but that meant you had to demo the box. You had to demo the controls. In many cases, when that demo occurred, the communication network was severed. And in addition to that, you would demo all of the branch ductwork from the box all the way out to the main. With the smart air valve, that's all eliminated. You keep the controller, you keep the box. You don't change the ductwork to the branch, and you don't have to do any demolition that can damage the network. Significantly reduces the time required for a fit out and the cost. So integral DDC controller. This is important to understand. The smart air valve cannot exist without that DDC controller. As mentioned, all of that intelligence is contained within the controller. So this creates an opportunity. Now, all of a sudden, if you're providing the controller, you get to provide the smart air valve. It's an integral assembly. It's very important to understand that. It's also important to understand that these assemblies are tested totally at the factory. Unlike a lot of conventional VAV boxes that are tested in the field, this does not leave until it's confirmed that it's controlling accurately and precisely. This is an important feature that we're going to see here very shortly, what kind of impact that can have on schedules. So if you think about all of these milestones that takes place in any particular project, this is basically showing all of the, basically the critical paths that take place when you're planning a project. And there's a lot that impacts a conventional VAV. highlighted are three very specific milestones that take place: controls delivery, controls installation, VAV balancing. All three of these milestones go away. So what does that do to your schedule? It compresses the schedule. So now, by eliminating that, by having the controller pre-installed, pre-tested, no requirement for airflow balancing, you reduce the project schedule. And we all know the sooner you can get off a job, the sooner you can get done, the faster you get paid. And when you're a construction manager or a general contractor, you have two goals: get the job done on schedule and on budget. And by helping to reduce that schedule, you're helping them achieve their goal. So what versions are available of the Smart Air Valve? Well, all versions that you're familiar with are available. And more importantly, they're available with prefabricated, pre-installed options: round duct, rectangular duct, electric reheat, hot water reheat with slab coil, hot water reheat with a high efficiency slanted coil, pre-installed valves, pre-installed PIC valves, pre-installed valving assemblies, including shutoff valves, can all be pre-installed. This has a significant impact on project cost. It also has a significant impact on the size of your order. We're starting to wrap things up. I'm going to ask everybody, remind me why I care. Why should I care about the Smart Air Valve? Well, one, it's going to help you make money. It's going to help you make more money. It's going to help you make more money because you're going to increase the volume of your sale. You're not just going to be selling the controller. You're going to be selling the box. You're going to be selling the reheat coil. You're going to be selling the valve. You'll be selling the valve assemblies. It's also going to help you sell more, because if you can meet those DBE, disadvantaged business enterprise requirements, by having a woman-owned business, you're going to close more work. You're going to close more work because it's going to appeal to the construction manager because they can get off the job sooner. You can reduce their risk. Save money. If you're owner, you're immediately going to save money through energy savings. But you're also going to save money by getting rid of the sound insulation, the sound attenuation, the balancing, prefabricated coils and assemblies. All help to reduce the cost of the project. Make your life easier. If anybody has ever tried to coordinate getting factory installed controls sent to the factory in time before they ship, you know that's a nightmare. And there's nothing worse than to get that call from the mechanical contractor saying, hey, the air terminal's already shipped. You're going to have to install those controls in the field. And then what happens? That cost comes out of your pocket. Certainly, it makes your life easier and reduces your risk. As mentioned before, everything comes out of the factory with the Smart Air Valve, pre-tested, pre-checked to make sure that it achieves that level of precision that we've talked about. So these are significant. These are the value propositions that we all deal with. And these are how you're going to make more money, save money, reduce your risk, and make your life easy. This is what separates the Smart Air Valve from other products. So we're live. So this is pretty exciting. So the Smart Air Valve is currently available on our e-commerce platform, alpscontrols.com. You can literally go onto the website and you could place an order today. That may not seem that big of a deal, but what is interesting is that alpscontrols.com has been giving you, the contractor, the ability to control your purchasing decisions on control parts for over 30 years. The game's changing. We're also letting you purchase HVAC systems on alpscontrols.com. That's a game changer. No longer do you have to worry about going to that equipment rep and asking, is this the best price out there? You know your price. You know your price up front. You don't have to worry about that equipment rep and whether he just went fishing with his buddy who's your competition. You know you've got the best price up front with alpscontrols.com. And this makes a significant difference. A lot of you are probably saying, okay, well, what happens if I just don't want to get all of my pricing online? Do I have to go onto the website and do the takeoff? No, you don't. If you want assistance, I can certainly help you. Our team can help you do the takeoff. Send us plans and specs, send us equipment schedules, and we can give you a firm quote based upon your numbers, your level of pricing on alpscontrols.com. So I hope we've kind of got you thinking about the opportunity. We hope we've spurred your interest. We're hopeful that you're starting to think about the opportunities. We also know you're probably thinking, I need to learn more. No surprise there. We understand that. And as mentioned, we've got presentations, whether we can do this as a lunch and learn, a webinar, come to your site, whatever works out best for you. Would really like to do a deeper dive because we know you're going to need that to answer some of your questions. But since we do have some additional time, I'm going to flip this over to Alan, who hopefully has achieved or received some of those questions. Because remember, there's some really nice noise canceling headphones. Josh, are you wearing them right now? No, he's not.
These are not.
So these aren't out of box. These are still new. So not slightly used. So Alan, can you start to list some of the questions for us?
Sure can. We have a couple in there ready to go, and I just remind our attendees here that you just open up the Q&A box to the right of the video screen, follow the instructions, and send us a question. We'll read it live. Our first one is, can I buy the SAV without controls and have them field install?
Well, that one's easy. You're throwing me a soft one here. Thank you. I'm glad you guys are going to be easy on me for the first question. No, you can't. It's not like it was in the old days where you could just ship any controller to the factory and have it factory installed. The smart air valve has to go through an approval process. The DDC controller does contain intellectual property within it, and I'm sure there's probably some legal issues associated with that as well. So because of that, the controllers have to go through an approval process to make sure it achieves the goals of the controller. But it's also important to know, I realize that list of controllers that has been published so far is not complete. If you represent a product that's not listed there and you would like to have your controller being part of the smart air valve, feel free to reach out to us. We'll be glad to work closely with HVAC manufacturing and help coordinate that effort for pre-testing and pre-certification.
Well, and actually, we do have two questions that are specific to controllers. Bill Christ wants to know, is Neptronic working on being an approved controller for the SAV? And Dan Keeley wonders, is the automated logic product being tested for this application?
Bob, I'll take that one. So great questions. Again, the smart air valve has been out for a few years now. And the owner there at HVAC manufacturing is in conversations with those types of manufacturers. So again, a lot like Bob mentioned, a lot of the real proprietary algorithms embedded into the controllers from what was designed by John's team there at HVAC manufacturing. So long-winded way of saying not yet, but 2024, we do have those types of brands on the radar.
Will these SAVs have the ability to work with perimeter heating or any other external heating or cooling equipment?
It's interesting to know that the ASHRAE Guideline 26 sequences are pre-built into the controllers. And as we know, control sequences it's almost infinite, the number of different sequences that can occur. So basic sequences such as sequencing perimeter radiation, by all means. If you said, hey, I need to put in a controller that, let's say, starts, stops an exhaust fan or something to that extent, if it's not one of the typical applications, obviously that sequence will have to be revised. And if that's done in advance, that can be coordinated with the factory if necessary.
We have another question about the controls manufacturers. Which three controls manufacturers were included with the SAV?
Yeah, so Honeywell with a Niagara capability built in is an option. Also Schneider, as well as Loytech are the three that are currently available through alpscontrols.com.
Okay, we have a question that wants to know what does the SAV come with? RH valve, duct temp sensor, or only cooling VAV?
No, as we mentioned, the smart air valve comes with both electric and hot water reheat, include also in addition steam reheat. That can be a two-way valve, a three-way valve. It can become a PIC valve if required, and also that would come with a discharge air temperature sensor if you have reheat control. All of those other options that I mentioned, as far as having it prefabricated at the factory, those are all options. You can get the smart air valve with a controller in a cooling only mode, but if you're going to control with the sequence, that needs to be known up front. The sequence for reheat, I apologize.
Okay, we have one viewer who wants to know, are the controllers BACnet ready, MSTP or IP?
Yeah, it depends on the controller. So of those three manufacturers, I believe, and I can't speak for the Schneider control. I haven't gotten into that. Josh?
No, go ahead. I'll let you answer, and I'll piggyback off you.
Yeah, so I don't know. I know a couple of those are IP. I don't know if the Schneider controller is IP or MSTP.
Yeah,
and they're all BACnet controllers.
that's true. So, and I'm right there with you. I do believe the Schneider one is BACnet IP. So, and like we're seeing where the industry is going, most VAV controllers today are going the IP route. So I would assume that all of them are IP, but we'd have to confirm with the data sheets.
And keep in mind, what we're trying to do here is feed the box a CFM set point. So if you're doing any type of pressurization control, isolation control, you would be feeding it that differential CFM set point to maintain space pressurization. So if you were doing that type of control, you would be providing that controller yourself to do the sequencing of the boxes. The boxes are meant to provide a CFM set point.
Adam Shellhammer wants to know, if I order a Honeywell Spider, is that the Spider 7 optimizer VAV controller or Cyper 30 VAV controller?
Wow. So I got an easy one up front. And so now I got a fastball.
Wait.
I don't know, Josh. Do you know the difference?
For a couple ex-Siemens guys, it's no, I'm just kidding. But no, it is the latest and greatest Honeywell Spider. So whichever one that is, that's the variant that we're using on the smart air valve. So that's a great question.
Many air terminals require several straight duct dimensions upstream and downstream of the box for accuracy. What about the SAV?
Yeah, that's one of the nice things about the way the smart air valve senses airflow. It doesn't require all those upstream and downstream duct diameters. If I remember correctly, it's a single duct diameter upstream and downstream, which is a significant savings in duct work. So you can squeeze it into some pretty tight spaces. So much so that you can actually get a smart air valve, which is has like for like dimensions to a Phoenix air valve. So in a retrofit application, you could have identical dimensions in total length, and you can make that with a transition, a rectangular to round transition on either end. So the box can be easily utilized in retrofit applications.
Okay, Mark Hankin asks, do the controllers have to be purchased through Alps Controls, or can the contractor ship controllers to the manufacturer to be installed and configured?
Yeah, that's a good question. And it has to be, those controls do have to be at the factory. So because of the pre-approval process, you can't send just any controller. Some of the controllers that have been approved are not the standard controller. They don't have the same accuracy of damper position feedback or differential pressure sensing. So
Right.
you have to have a pre-approved controller. To eliminate that, you just can't send an off-the-shelf controller to the factory. That is all coordinated by HVAC manufacturing.
Yeah, and then also to piggyback off that, project by project, if it is approved to controller, we know how important your quotas are to the lines that you represent. So reach out to myself, Bob, your regional sales manager, inside sales person here at Alps Controls, and we'll help you through those as those opportunities come up. But we knew when we were bringing on this product line that that question was going to come up, and quotas are important. So probably be a little bit more dynamic moving into next year, but get you guys the credit you deserve.
I think you basically kind of covered this, but I just wanted to get this in too, because Dan Nolte asked, if I want a controller that is not currently available through Alps Controls, but approved, how does that happen if the controller has to be integral?
I would assume that it might be a Distech controller that he might be referring to. So if that is the case, then Distech is a line manufacturer that's representing the product. Their team's out there promoting it. You would have to go to Distech for that smart air valve variant.
We have somebody who wants to know, is the SAV approved for the healthcare industry, such as being used in labs or clean rooms, etc.?
Well, the good news about that is we're getting really close for that. We are hopefully in the next couple of months, we'll have the exhaust valve, specifically for fume hood exhaust, which is the last little piece that we need. So looking for phenolic coated exhaust valves, that is on the horizon. We'll probably see that early in the first quarter of this year. And that should complete the opportunity in the application. So yes, but soon, or no, but very, very soon. How's that?
Right. Good answer.
We have somebody who wants to know, I want to retrofit a Phoenix Venturi valve with an SAV. Does the SAV have different flange to flange dimensions?
Yeah, that was one I think we covered in the presentation. You can get them with identical flange dimensions. Keep in mind, HVAC manufacturing is a pretty sophisticated factory with all of the tools required to do any level of customization required. So yes, you can get a smart air valve with the same identical flange to flange dimensions. If there's a rectangular to circular transition required, that can come with the smart air valve.
We have a question. This is a new product. How many have been installed to date, and are there any case studies?
Right now, I don't have the total amount that have been installed. I know it's in the tens of thousands. As mentioned, we've just gone live. So there's valves that have been sold by Alps Controls to the website. I wish I could say we've sold one. We're not there yet. We've just gone live. The configurator tool is in its final stages of rollout and will be available shortly. Keep in mind, the smart air valve is not just you order a 16-inch round. There are 30-some options that are available. Those all have to be determined at time of ordering. That's why we offer you that option. If you want us just to go over the plans and specifications, assist you with the takeoff, we have that capability. As far as case studies are concerned, we could provide you with case studies of jobs that have already been sold. HVAC manufacturing has done some pretty impressive projects already with some nationally, actually worldwide recognized companies, which is pretty impressive. There are also some major healthcare systems that have already standardized on the smart air valve, and it's barely a year old. So when I say it's disruptive, it's disruptive. There are significant organizations making a commitment that they're just going to be using the smart air valve because of its flexibility and all of those benefits we talked about.
Okay, it looks like that's all the questions that we have in our queue for right now. Thanks, everybody. Oops. Of course, when I said that, somebody submitted a question.
There we go. One more.
Yeah, one more. Squeeze in one more. Oh no, another one. Now they're coming like crazy. How does the pricing compare to typical air valves and standard VAV boxes?
We'd have to do a complete study on it, because remember, you're not just buying the box, you're buying the box, the controller. In many cases, you're getting multiple different options. So, it's one of those studies to compare apples to apples requires some pretty in-depth analysis, other than, hey, I got a conventional VAV box and I got a controller. They're two different critters. So we currently can't show that difference because we haven't done that case study.
Yeah, but we would be happy to do so. Just reach out to your local Alps Controls sales representative, get with Bob, and we can start going through those numbers.
Okay, we could squeeze one more in from Mark Hankin again. He wants to know, is the control valve manufacturer open? Belimo, Siemens, Honeywell, etc., or is there a standardized manufacturer you are providing?
No, it's a great question. You want to take that, Bob? Or?
Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, no, it's various manufacturers. So, open to. We are, try to make it simple and standardize on the pressure independent control valve, for most, just because you got 3 components into one, and there's, justify some savings there and some efficiencies by doing so. But we are open, and they are also open to any and all valve manufacturers.
Yeah, we understand you're trying to meet quotas, and that control valve is a critical part of it. So getting credit for that valve, we understand, is critically important, just like the controller, temperature sensors, space temperature sensors, all the above. So yes, that is correct. That's your valve.
Until somebody makes a liar out of me again, I think that's all of our questions that we have in the queue. But again, it'll stay open until about 3:15 Eastern time this afternoon. Send them along, and I'll pass them along to Bob and Josh. And thanks, everybody.
Yeah, Alan, Bob, Bob, great presentation. Thank you very, very much. Hope everyone got a lot out of it, and we look forward to meeting with you now or after the holidays to dive in a little bit deeper. As Bob said, it was a shallow dive. We definitely want to get deeper with you. So we wish you a happy holiday season with your family and friends, and thank you very much for your time today. Take care.
Thank you.